Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today I am going to give you 5 shot making drills for beginner players. I'd like to give out drills where beginner players and advanced players could stand next to each other and each do the exact same drill. And all you need to do is make things a little bit more difficult. If you're making 70, 80, 90% of these shots, make them more difficult. The first one is simply to take 5 balls or 10 balls or whatever you feel comfortable with, spread them at the second diamond. Okay, this is your head string. Everything behind here is called the kitchen. So you're going to take ball in hand. These balls are about 1 diamond apart. I don't care what size table you're on. You're going to do the same thing, and you're just going to shoot balls the length of the table and into those corner pockets. That's all the drill involves. If I was a beginner player and I could not make, let's say, 70, 80, 90% of these shots, I would shoot hundreds of these. If you get good at this, you just simply make the shot a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit more difficult. And a little bit means you go from the second diamond to a diamond and a half. If you saw our video on practice for beginner players, you know that this is one of the drills that we talked about. Just make it a little bit more and more difficult for you. Many of you would be amazed at how many people are intimidated by side pocket shots. For this drill, many of these shots are going to be very simple for you. You're going to say, Bryan, you really want me to take time to shoot that 13 into the side pocket? Well, yes, because if that shot is super easy for you, because you're, say, an APA 3, what you can do is make it a little bit more difficult by trying to get position from one ball to the next so you can play those shots in the side. What you will find, though, is that you will eventually get to a point where you can't get shape on the next side. If those shots in the center are way too easy for you, continue to put balls on the spot here and shoot them into the side pockets. This is about the angle where this shot gets intimidating for a lot of players. Now, something you should know about this shot. One of the reasons so many players have a hard time with this shot is because they're aiming for the back of the pocket. The back of the pocket is not your target when you're shooting these shots. The edge, right where the black part of the pocket and the rail meets, that's what you should be targeting. If you aim for the back of the pocket, you're giving yourself an extremely small target. If you aim for this spot that we just talked about, you will have a straight-on shot. Yes, part of the pocket is being blocked just by your angle, but that is going to help a lot of you make these shots. Just make them more and more difficult and take the extreme shots if the rest of them are too easy, or work on playing a little bit of position while you're shooting them. You will find also, just a lesson within the lesson, that if you hold your cue like this to the edge of that pocket and the other end to this diamond, you will find the point just outside of that triangle area where this shot is just barely possible. So at this point, it is at its most difficult. So if you want to practice these shots, it's not a bad use of your time. Just enough for a ball to fit. Rail shots where the balls are up against the rail are shots that you should be working on, especially as a beginner player. Take your time, find a shot, make the shot easier than this, and work on these shots. Now, if the shots get too easy for you with ball in hand, play position from one shot to the next. That's all I'm doing here. Every shot that I'm shooting, though, is shot the same way. No special spin, no special English on these balls. I am just hitting the ball and the cushion simultaneously. That's going to put it in the pocket. Later on, as you develop as a player, you will do much fancier things with these shots. But until now, you're going to hit the cue ball slightly above center, hitting the ball and the cushion at the same time and work on your rail shots. If you can't get position like I was doing here, which you probably won't, if you're watching this video, you're probably a beginner or a low intermediate player. Take ball in hand. If you put yourself in a position where the next shot is not makeable, or if these shots are simply too long for you, make this shot shorter. Take ball in hand, make this shot shorter and easier. I want you making about 75 or 80% of these shots. If you're not, make the shots easier. And if you're making all of them, then play position, just like I did in the last example. And now the cold hard truth that every one of you already knows. In pool, we do not get to shoot balls from here straight into the pocket. At some point, you're going to be 7 feet down table, and you will have to shoot a ball at an angle into a pocket. How do you get there? What I recommend is that you simply put a ball on the spot, take ball in hand, shoot it straight in, and then start giving yourself different angles so that you become accustomed to cutting these balls in. You are going to shoot these shots very specifically though. Unless position play is an issue, you're going to hit it at about the 12 o'clock mark on that ball, and anywhere else you're just complicating things. I have an expression that I live by when it comes to pool. Don't do more than you need to do. The next shot making drill that you're going to do is to roll a ball down the table and then cut it into the corner pocket while it's moving. I'm just kidding, you're not going to do that. But I'm going to give you a shot that some people find almost as difficult.
Hey gang, if you enjoy FX Billiards on YouTube, you'll love FXB TV. It's the ultimate streaming platform for exclusive videos, tips, and techniques you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a beginner or advanced player, we've got you covered. Plus, when you join, you'll get free access to all our master classes, a $150 value with more than 150 videos that will never air on YouTube. Plus, you will get to watch our YouTube videos before they go public. Watch them early, ad-free, and with tons of bonus content. Join now to lock in our special introductory rate and be part of the FX Billiards community.
And that is shooting balls down the rail. These shots, for whatever reason, get into people's heads. Okay, I know the reason why. First off, it's very much an illusion. Everything seems to be lined up. You even look at this rail, the edge of this rail. Sometimes the shadow falls over and you're not sure exactly where the rail is. And then you get down on the shot and you send it down the table and it doesn't do that. From this angle, about a ½ an inch of a 4½ inch pocket is not available to you. If I come here, I have exactly the entire 100% of the pocket available to me. I don't have 100% available here. So, if I don't have as much pocket, I have a more difficult shot. Again, people are intimidated by the rails. Again, if you don't have good speed, what happens? You can hit it very well, and you still might rattle it out of the pocket, especially on some tables. So if I have this shot, and I'm going to shoot it perfectly, by the way, that is what has to be done to get it in there. But if I'm off just a little bit on what already is a difficult shot, then I'm going to have some problems. It's going to rattle out of the pocket, or it's going to rattle and stay in the pocket. And if you're playing 9-ball, that's one of the worst things that can happen. One other thing when you're doing these drills, because all you're going to do is get your balls down here, get yourself close to the rail, and shoot them the long way. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to work on your speed. Now, the last one I shot, it's a little fast, unless I needed to do something special with the cue ball as far as position goes. The first one I shot, maybe a little slow. If you're on a bad table, you might see it drift a little bit one way or the other. You're going to find the speed that works for you. And of course, later on when you're playing position, you're going to want to hit it harder or softer or faster or slower, but you're not going to get away with a lot when this ball is close to the rail. Why? The pocket is smaller from over here. When you're making these on a regular basis, set up like this, what are you going to do? Separate the balls a little bit, okay? I only went 1, 2, 3, 4 diamonds, but the difficulty almost doubled already in this shot. Whatever you do over here, do it over here as well. Before you get to the point where you're separating the balls like this, get to a situation where you are cutting it now down the rail. This is even more difficult than that. Now, some of you may remember we did the rail drill earlier. The rail drill is not this drill. This shot with the ball off of the rail is not the same shot as the ball on the rail. It might be twice as difficult for some of you. When the ball is touching the rail, we have a very distinct target. We're trying to hit the ball and the rail at the same time, and even beginner players can pull that off. Here, we actually have to hit the ghost ball spot, hit it perfectly, and hit it in the meantime until you develop these shots. Hit the ball with just top. Stop trying to put English on these shots until you have it without the side spin. Work on those on a regular basis. If you practice 90 minutes a day, doesn't seem like a lot of time, and it's not for a pool player that wants to get really good, but if you're practicing 90 minutes a day because you have your own table, so you're putting in, let's call it 10 hours a week, you are practicing 10 hours a week more than the average pool player, than the average amateur pool player. And if you're in a situation where you don't have your own table, when you can get on a table, don't just run and play with your friends. Practice. Get yourself some professional instruction if you can. If you can't, get it from quality videos, from quality channels that clearly the person makes a living teaching how to play pool. But until then, get in your reps, practice alone, unless you can get some really good guidance.